percentage about
Yeah,
that.
transdermal absorption is about 60%. When you digest it, you lose about a third of the dosage that you take.
Okay, so supplements. So, but it is safe for them to do the full dosage.
Yeah, we've got several mothers that take it for their morning sickness every morning, whether it be the terpenes or CBD. We were actually looking at some stuff on the way over, kind of over the bridge. Well, Rod was. I was safely driving down the road, but stuff about that, and they did. You know, if anybody has any sort of concern about it, there was one. It was just a survey done, right?
Yeah.
And it was basically they found kids that said that they had been exposed to THC at an earlier age or something like that. And so there's a lot of inconclusive kind of skeptical things people might see on the internet about it. But you know, the body produces endocannabinoids, you know, just naturally. So CBD is one of those that our body produces naturally. So I don't, you know,
CBD is also...
take it at your own risk, because
Yeah.
you know we definitely we can't look at it and say for 100% certain.
Yeah.
Please take this, pregnant ladies, but you know,
Because there hasn't been enough research
Right.
with the fetus
Right.
afterwards.
but from what we've seen, I mean, you know, it helps your brain regulate the hormones. So I can only see it being a positive for that, you know, helping them get what they need. So.
CBD is also not intoxicating,
Yeah.
excuse me. And it actually helps improve like function of the hippocampus and function of the basal ganglia, which is the memory center and the movement center of the brain. So we see it help with like MS and a lot of Parkinson's patients see results with it because of that. And there's also lecithin, which is one of the ingredients in there, is an ingredient in a lot of the Alzheimer's medications.
What is it?
Lecithin. It's an emulsifier. So it actually helps you like absorb and help you process the CBD.
There's no THC.
No.
Absolutely no THC.
Absolutely no THC. All of our bottles actually have QR codes on there, so you can scan directly to that batch of the oil or edibles or anything.
So it won't be detected like if someone for a
Josh,
job
you can move
interview
Riley
or
so she'll
something.
get a chip.
Absolutely not. No. They actually have a $1 million insurance policy that you will not fail a drug test. We have a bunch of first responders, military personnel, vets, and active that take our product, as well as state and federal employees.
So is it just processed different? Because I know like if you get other CBD oil, like they still have like the small like 0.03 or whatever it is of
Yeah.
THC.
So
This
yes.
has absolutely none.
Absolutely no. So yes, it actually is
Okay, so
processed differently. It's an extra step in the extraction process to take out all of the THC molecules and any other cannabinoids. It's actually more expensive, which is why our oil is a little more expensive than most.
Right, that's why a lot of folks will compare, you know, if you look at our 550 milligram bottle versus a full spectrum is what it's called, if it's got that.
Yeah, can we talk about what the difference of full spectrum?
Yeah, that's one of the
Yeah.
main
Okay.
things that we're going to focus on today is what makes the Green Roads product different from whatever else is out there. And the full spectrum just means that it's legal. 0.3% THC or less means it's, you know, legal to be sold. Industrial hemp. It's not terrible for you, but there's a lot of red flags to go along with that. You know, a lot of medications, if somebody's on an insurance policy that requires them to take a yearly drug test to make sure they can keep getting their Adderall or whatever else they're taking, you know, you could definitely, you know, test positive for THC on any one of those. Or we
What
had
about
those.
ours? Because I think
Ours
the
was
last guy
fine.
said that
Right.
No.
there
So
was still a chance.
that's what's referred to as full spectrum oil. So it's the full spectrum of cannabinoids. This is broad spectrum.
I think what Josh said was basically, I don't know if this is still the case, but last time Josh said you can't say, no, you won't fail a drug test
Right.
because we can't like make that guarantee. I think that's what
That's
he
what
was
he said.
saying.
It would just
yeah.
Our
become.
Josh?
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
Josh.
This
Yeah,
is our Josh,
well-
but you're Josh, yeah.
Well, the problem that it's going to be less of a we're worried about somebody failing a drug test on that as we are. It just kind of creates a big murky. It could become a court case where they're saying,
So,
"No, I promise
A
that
liability,
this
okay.
is all I've done is this." When actually they went to a Alicia
Just did
Keys concert
something,
or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Random
so-
choice, but
Right.
And that's why all of our products are third-party lab tested, so that they verify that there's no THC content in there.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you, I'm feeling a little scatterbrained about, can you just focus on the full spectrum thing for a second and explain?
Hi.
Yeah,
How are you?
So full spectrum oil is oil that has not been extracted, like this oil right here. It's actually one step backwards in the extraction process. They leave most of the cannabinoids in there, like THC. So there's a state limit in most states now. I think it's probably 47, which is 0.03% THC is legal,
Okay.
but it will still make you fail a urinalysis test, even though it's a legal amount of
Okay.
THC.
So why would somebody use full spectrum versus
Full spectrum actually has shown some benefits in children with epilepsy and autism. Charlotte's Web Full Spectrum Oil out of California, one of the first major brands, is a THC containing product.
Okay.
Crohn's and lupus are two of the other ones that if somebody has a severe, something severe and chronic like that, it can help to just kind of get more, because they call it the entourage effect. So the more of those different compounds you have all working together, it can have a slightly more significant, results on it. But it's very, very few cases that they've, and this is all clinical studies that are being done constantly right now as more people start to take it. But just in general, there's only about 4 or 5 different things that I've read that THC actually has a more effective result than just just the CBD and the other cannabinoids that are in there.
They
But
said
there's-
more effective in neuropathic pain and potentially shrinking tumors.
You're saying THC?
Yes.
CBD actually we're finding is more effective in neuropathic pain and shrinking tumors. There's actually the stuff we were looking over was some notes from the MUSC conference a couple months ago. They actually had a video there of CBD interacting with a cancerous tumor, and it actually created cell apoptosis, which is cell suicide.
Yeah,
No, it's a very good thing.
it's good if it's
Oh, okay.
if it's
Yeah,
a cancerous
yeah.
cell,
That's
you want
good.
cancer
Okay.
cells.
Yes.
It was it was cool how, because I actually watched that I think somewhere else from that, but it almost looked like they were watching a video game or something that was really, really quick. They isolated those specific cells and they were like little Ys or something, and they just kind of attacked them, and then they.
So the tumor cells.
Yeah,
committed
it's actually
suicide.
the
Wow,
only
cool.
way to kill cancer cells is to make them self-destruct.
Wow. That's awesome.
Interesting.
So with the epilepsy, due to the THC, that is why the full spectrum is better than the broad spectrum for that
Yeah, that's-
specifically.
Yeah, a small amount of THC they're
But that
finding
still
works.
is effective
Yes,
at
it is
all?
still
Okay.
effective.
Yes.
It still interacts with, like I said, the basal ganglia, the movement center of the
Mhm.
brain, as well as the hippocampus, and a couple other like the I can't
Gala-
Oh, they're right here.
Yeah,
Gal-
they're right there.
Oh wait, I'm thinking
Hypothalamus.
Gala
Spinal
I'm
cord.
thinking of the thing on the top of your head.
Yeah, I like to remember off the top of my
Yes,
head.
we're going to pass these out in a little bit. It's actually,
When we get more into that.
you've
Yeah.
probably seen this at some point with that catalog or whatever, but it's just a
Yeah.
map of where all these are, but
We
we'll
use
try to
that
stay on
thing.
topic right now.
We use that a lot actually.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll leave a couple of these here for you too if you want to hold on to
Thanks.
these.
Yeah, that'd be great. So what exactly is a terpene?
Yeah.
So terpene is, it's a compound that's responsible for the flavor and the scent of various different plants. They are found in a lot of different, commonly found, things you're used to seeing: blueberries, lemons, cinnamon, pine needles, different things like that. A lot of those that are found in those, pretty commonly, used, are also found in hemp and cannabis. So
Okay.
you can extract them from either one. Actually, we've a lot of our terpenes in these are found from different, they're actually extracted from different things other than cannabis. Too.
So when we have like the flavored terpenes, like is that actually like orange or whatever, is taken from orange and put into the
Yeah,
mix
it's
or
not a
whatever?
cannabis terpene.
Okay, got it.
It's a
Okay,
plant
I didn't
terpene.
know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The CBD
So
is from the hemp, and there is hemp oil in there, but
That doesn't have that strong
but the
smell.
terpene is actually, the terpenes are actually extracted from other things other than cannabis. That's why they kind of have a little bit of a sweeter taste.
Right.
Yeah.
okay.
A lot of people see that and they think that it's going to be like blueberry flavored or something like that, but it's not. It's just actually
To match the
just
smell.
mad
and-
scientists,
Yeah.
they can find, okay, this is in this other plant over here, we can pull it out of that and treat it the same as we would if it was coming out of a cannabis plant.
And, all those terpene lineups are actually broken down further. The reason that they're the same between cannabis and every other plant is because they can actually break it down chemically, and they all match up. So it really doesn't matter whether or not you get it from plants or cannabis,
Right,
as long as
so-
they're natural terpenes.
Yeah, which is actually one of those things that Green Roads has, this big fancy machine that it can actually sort them out by their atomic weights and figure out
Oh, okay.
what's the same and what's not the same.
Cool.
They also they use chromatography too if there's any kind of confusion there, so they can kind of clear it all
So
out.
how are they able to like tailor, how like some of the terpenes say like anxiety, whatever, and then one of them says like how do they make it so it's like to different things?
So that's actually like depending on whether or not it was studies done, like autistic classes in Pine Forest in California.
Yeah.
Better graduation rates, better attention rates. Really, they didn't get in trouble as much. And
So like
actually,
what makes each terpene different though? Is
really, it's the chemical compound of the terpene and how it affects us
okay.
and how it interacts with cannabinoids as well. Pinene is relaxing. Lavender is, limonene is anti-anxiety.
Okay.
It's found in citrus.
Okay. Okay. All right. So that
yeah.
makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, and pinene is actually found in pine needles.
Okay.
So it's one of the things to relate it to is almost aromatherapy.
Okay.
But it's also consuming those
Okay. I
terpenes.
did not understand that.
Yeah, and honestly, it's the names can be all confusing, but think of them like vitamins. I mean, that's really kind of they sort of interact in the same way, except instead of maybe helping you with your building proteins in your body or something like
Okay.
that, they're interacting with your central nervous system to help your brain do what it knows what it
Okay.
needs to do. So,
Okay.
yeah, it could be vitamin G, but instead somebody had to make it all complicated.
Okay.
So if you use the topical CBD oil, how quick are the effects? Like if we use it during a massage, like would they be able to feel it?
Very,
Like
very,
a-
yeah. Typically, what they're going to feel first is there's a little bit of the menthol.
Okay.
So that's going to
Yeah.
kind of have a little bit of a cooling effect on them to start. If they've never taken CBD before, if they've never smoked recreationally or anything like that before in their brain, and then they have a cannabinoid deficiency in their body where they don't really produce that many of them, don't have a good diet, they may or may not feel any results past that. Everybody's chemistry is a little bit different, everybody's diet's a little different. So you don't really like to just throw it out there that they do, but almost everybody that we ever, like if we're at an event and we let somebody try a little bit of the hand cream and they got, they're like, oh yeah, I've got some arthritis in my wrist, can I try some of that? Yeah, sure, we let them try it. 9 times out of 10 they come back and give us a big hug. Seriously. They're like, oh my gosh, man, my back or my hip or whatever. We let them rub it on, they come back later and they've got nothing but love because their mind is blown. I know that if I sleep weird and I wake up and my neck is hurting or something like that, I put it on within minutes. It's feeling it, but I take a lot of CBD. So.
That's actually my next question. Is
Ooh.
so like, people start off on 250, then they like go up or up or like how do we know like what to tell them to take really?
So we usually recommend, or we usually we see the best results from all of our doctors' patients and our pharmacist patients starting out at 17 to 25 milligrams a day.
I
Every
always
day.
get so confused with the milliliters and milligrams.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So the milliliter is the unit of measurement in the pipette. The milligram is the milligrams inside of the milliliter. So 1 milliliter contains 20 or 37 milligrams in the 550 bottle.
Yeah, so typically whenever you're trying to help somebody figure out what bottle they need to buy, like he was saying, we typically see the best results if somebody's taking between 17 to 25 every day, because it's hitting that threshold of getting the endocannabinoid system fired up.
Okay, so that's what happens when they take that.
Right.
Okay.
It's kind of like throwing enough wood onto the fire to get that system going in your body, and then once you get that going, then you can kind of use the terpenes and the creams and different things like that to really get more effect out of it.
Okay.
So typically if you can kind of help somebody figure out how much money they have to spend or whatever they're looking to throw into there, what you're looking for is this ratio that's on these bottles. And so you can say, you can take about a half a milliliter of this and get that, you're going to get 18.5 milligrams
Okay.
a day.
Yeah,
so you
'cause
can do that, and this bottle will last somebody a whole month if they do that every day.
Okay, because that's like kind of like it makes no sense if you're like you just split the thing in half or what or whatever. If it,
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and it's always going to because when it comes down to it, typically, when they're just getting started, it's very rare that somebody's so disciplined about taking it every single day
Yeah.
because they want to just take it whenever they have a headache or whatever.
Yeah.
But we see the best results, with ourselves was where we first started to see it, and then we started looking around online and seeing that was kind of the deal. Is that if you want to get the most out of it, you take it every day, and it
Okay.
creates just a better relationship between the neurons. So you've got a smaller synapse, so it literally gets becomes a closer connection, so that it actually
Wow.
works better. So, and
Interesting.
that's part of like on here.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at if you want to pass these around. Well,
Okay.
not that one. And if you guys can,
You're passing.
if y'all
it
have, if anybody's kind of more familiar with this, we can pass it around to somebody else that's not. But if you look through there, all those different receptors, all throughout the brain, all throughout the body.
You said
Yeah.
it actually shortens the synapses?
Yeah, if you look at that image on the bottom right
Yeah.
side,
Connection.
just which actually kind of, it happens no matter what you're doing. If
Like it.
every time you pass a Chick-fil-A, if you steer in there real quick and you have a great time, then your body, you're going to be more likely to do it again. So it actually, they do get closer and closer together as they grow.
I thought you meant they just permanently.
And it's almost like little trenches grow in your brain too,
Okay.
so it's kind of interesting.
Gotcha.
I think I have a pretty
So-
good Chick-fil-A trench.
You're in the truth.
With
Yeah.
like certain medications, you know, your body like you eventually can build up like these new like neural pathways and stuff. Like, can you reach a point with this that like your body can do it itself?
There's a study being done right now that I kind of follow pretty closely where they're giving people 1,500 milligrams every single day of CBD, just to see kind of what's going to happen if somebody's just taking a whole bunch of this every single day. And then they have, placebos where some days they give somebody an oil that tastes the same, looks the same, but doesn't have the CBD content in there, just to see how it's going. And basically, it makes people just a little bit grumpy, just kind of typical if you're used to having some sort of any sort of a mood stabilizer or something like that. Then when you don't have it, you might be a little irritable, without being conscious about it. But for the most part, everybody's having a great time as far as telling people to take as much as they want. I mean, we really do. I mean, some days I take 200, 300 milligrams. Just
What? Okay, so
from the
my
stress of the
question.
day.
Okay, that's what my question.
Right.
Why would you do that? Okay.
yeah, just because sometimes we're going from 8 till
And
midnight.
we're
some-
usually pretty stressed, and each of us for our own reasons. I'm very
I know I've met
anxious.
Josh and Steve, so
That's what's stressing you out.
they stress us out. Me and Robert kind of. But yeah, typically I normally wake up and take 50 milligrams first thing, and then I just take the blueberry terpenes at night. But then if it's a exceptionally long, stressful day, then I'll take a little bit more throughout the day,
Okay.
and it does help. So
So is there like, say somebody has like a bad back or whatever, do they like peak up to a certain amount and then can come back down once it's feeling better, or like were they overly anxious, or do they need to stay?
yeah, that's
up
actually
here?
great because we kind of left off there with the whole 17 to 25 milligrams is for more acute things. If somebody's got minor stress, minor anxiety, headaches, things like that. If somebody's having severe chronic migraines, chronic back pains, shoulder pains, things like that, that is just making them absolutely miserable, about 50 milligrams, 40 to 50 milligrams is what we recommend. And normally we'd say chop that in half because your body actually does process it between 12 to 16 hours.
Okay.
So if it's something minor, and you run out while you're sleeping, it might not be the biggest thing in the world. But if you have severe back pain,
Yeah.
and then you wake up in the middle of the night with severe back pain, that might be an issue. So
Okay.
we say split it up to 20 to 30, or whatever the amount is, 40 to 60 divided by 2.
Okay.
So you maybe take
Okay,
in the
so
morning or at night or something.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And that's just, and again, this is basically from us getting feedback from thousands and thousands of people,
Okay.
as opposed to just saying, this is what we read, this is what we heard. We have not experimented with these people,
Yeah.
but just through talking through them, through all this over the phone. Somebody's got a question here. Oh yeah, we altered this and it did this. Hundreds every week, that we're dealing with on an individual case basis, where we treat them all just, not cookie cutter, where we say,
Okay.
try this. We always recommend people to keep a journal, when they're doing it, just so that they can or maybe not a structured journal or whatever, but maybe, just write down, I took 30 milligrams on Tuesday at 4
Yeah,
o'clock
that
or
makes
whatever,
sense.
just so that way you can kind of know where your true north is. I do better taking it in the morning or at night, or I do better, whatever. People can kind of learn themselves because everybody does react a little bit different to it. So.
I guess maybe I didn't hear part of the else question answered or maybe yours, but being able to come down. So
Yeah.
let's say they reach like a good baseline, they've been taking it for 6 months and they're feeling better. Like, do you have any studies or any feedback on them? Because obviously you want to sell product. You're not trying to get them to buy cheaper product, but at the same time it's good.
No,
to
we
know,
want them to
like,
get exactly what they need. Yeah,
Right.
and so
they coming down from 550 to the 250. Like
most of the time, people stay with whatever they're getting that relief from is what they wind up staying with.
yeah.
It does have sort of regenerative properties to it, where it helps your, what you were reading, that helps your neurons be protected. It's almost like
it's actually neuroproductive.
there we go.
So it means it like stimulates, like you said, it helps the synapses grow closer together.
Yeah.
So it absolutely could be possible that somebody actually, heals to the point where they can back off that dosage. Absolutely. But that's just one of those things where if they back off the dosage and it comes back up, then they're probably going to
Right.
bump it back up again. So
The endocannabinoid system, though, is a regulatory system in our body.
Right.
The lipids that are actually produced by CBD are called neuromodulatory lipids, and they actually help to regulate your body and help to regulate synapses and everything.
Right.
Wow.
neuromodulatory.
Remember, there's a lot.
Scrabble.
I was gonna say I'm canceling my Scrabble match.
Once you're like, is your body able to re-regulate once you reach a point where like?
Really, we haven't seen like evidence because long-term studies of CBD have been basically shut down by the government for a long time in America. Raphael Mechoulam is someone we read about a lot who actually discovered a lot of the cannabinoids, most of them. And in Israel, where he studies, they've been doing studies for a lot longer. It's hard to tell right now, but because it's a regulatory system, we think that it probably helps your body just regulate better, and through that you could probably produce something. But we haven't seen any evidence of that yet.
And it's probably going to be a case by case too with all of these things, just because it depends on the severity of the issue and depends on if someone's not drinking enough water every day too, or whatever these other things are. If somebody, a lot of my problems that I realized that I was kind of stressed out and things like that throughout the day were coming from just lack of sleep
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah, well,
And
they
once
have-
I kind of corrected that with CBD, it changed a lot of different things where I felt just more normal, I guess.
So like, what about the people who try it and they say they don't feel any effect?
Ask them what brand they took. How
What
many,
about if they take this
how many milligrams were you taking?
550?
No.
Are you one of these
That's-
people?
that's-
Is that what you're
That's
saying?
that's
Oh.
the amount of
No,
milligrams in the
Margaret.
bottle.
I guess
You don't have to say
half
it,
of
yeah.
a dropper of 550.
Did she stay
Once a
consistent?
day.
Once a day.
consistent?
So how many days did you take it?
Are you asking me to ask her these questions? Is this
Yeah,
hypothetical?
this is what
Well,
we
this
ask
is just,
everybody.
no matter who it
Oh,
is,
okay,
yeah.
okay, okay.
So we recommend, as we said, 20 to all of our doctors and pharmacist patients, 17 to 25 milligrams a day to start with, and 7 to 10 days at least. before
What
you
was
say that
she
it
like?
helped
Did
you.
she have like a complaint that she was
No.
taking it for? She just like was
No.
trying it
Yeah.
to see if it like
Yeah.
made her happier or
Yeah.
whatever.
So she is a therapist, and she wanted to be able to recommend it to her clients. And
Right.
so-
Yeah, and we don't really say that you're not going to feel anything from it. It's more of what you don't feel.
Okay.
So it's gonna help you regulate your REM cycle, so you're not gonna be as tired. It's gonna help increase those synapses, so you're gonna be a little happier. Maybe from the hippocampus is also the center of emotion in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps all these things. As I said, a regulatory system. So we've been
Okay.
deficient in it for so long. It's probably had
Jennifer,
negative
you back?
effects.
Right.
You're gonna feel better, but it's not gonna be because you took your CBD and like you feel it like it's intoxifying.
Okay. Okay.
So if somebody like went and was like, I'm gonna try CBD, and then was like, give me the 1500, like or whatever, would they like feel weird if they just like right off the rip took a ton?
No, really. They would probably feel it a little more immediate if they absorbed it properly. Transmucosal absorption, as they said, is 90%.
Do they take too much to where they don't absorb all of it all at once? Or just over
We've never
time?
seen that. We've actually had a dog break into a 300 King Calm and drink the whole thing.
Oh,
And
wait.
A King Calm is our dog
The dog
product.
brand or whatever.
So basically just ate a bunch of krill, Arctic
Or-
krill
And
oil,
CBD.
lavender, and CBD.
Were you
He
able
really
to
doesn't
see
know what it
if
was.
he truly digest all of it, or if he just digested part of it? Or?
No, but he didn't act any different than when he
Yeah.
took it on a normal day. So he probably just felt a little, he probably didn't, his hip
Yeah.
probably didn't hurt as little, I
I
don't
need to get my dog.
know.
You can't read it.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
those-
I can't,
Yeah.
if I could talk
Yeah.
to him,
Tell
you know.
us.
Yeah.
I know.
Um,
I wish there was a way to know.
But yeah, it's really the only thing that we would see from that probably is that the vegetable glycerin might upset your stomach if you chugged an entire bottle.
That's what I was gonna
because
say.
It's
If
very
you-
viscous as well.
A
as
lot
the
of people, if they
CBD.
take it on an empty stomach, be
Okay.
prepared to tell them that if they have a sensitive stomach, then the vegetable glycerin can sometimes mess it up
And
a
that's
little
the
bit, where
base
it gives
of
you a
what?
little bit of indigestive.
That's like the base, the vegetable.
Yeah, so
glycerin.
vegetable
Okay.
glycerin is actually used to thin it out a little bit. CBD oil is so viscous when you first extract it from the plant, you can almost do nothing with it.
Okay.
It's actually the best carrier method.
So is that
for
something
CBD
that
oil.
like makes you guys different? Is you use that?
Yep, I was gonna say a lot of the other companies are using MCT oil, which what does that stand for? Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
I
you
thought-
got it
I
on
thought
that one.
you knew that one
It's
for sure.
extracted purely from coconuts. Vegetable glycerin is a blend of all vegetable extracts.
Right, so ours is a little bit thicker than most other companies. The MCT is pretty thin. when I take it, I don't really feel. I mean, we've tried it. I've gone off of our product and onto another, for a couple weeks, and I was ready to get back on these because I just wasn't really feeling the same effects. And I think it has something to do with how it's getting into your tissue and how into your bloodstream. I think this being a little bit thicker kind of helps it get guided. And this is just kind of me theorizing it, but I just know that I've taken a bunch of different kinds that are a little bit thinner, and they just kind of don't seem to. I don't feel the effect of, the immediate effect that I do from this. I don't really feel it, the kind of lasting as long too. So.
And the pharmacist who formulates all of it, Laura Fuentes in Florida, they actually went to visit her last week or 2 weeks ago now, in Davie, Florida, at the facility, and she actually told them that vegetable glycerin is the best carrying method for CBD.
So as a result, and this is something you can kind of tout just in general, what?
Good.
Oh yeah, so they just won the #1 CBD product at the Cannabis Business Awards
Oh.
in Colorado in December.
For
And then
like a specific one
Best
or
CBD
just
product.
just in general? Okay.
just in general, yeah, best CBD product, and then they also were named by Forbes the #1 privately held CBD company in America. So
Okay.
and privately held just meaning, that's important because they're
answer to a board of directors.
Yeah, they're not just doing whatever makes
Stockholders.
the stock go up. They're going to do, they're not just profit. It actually pretty organically came about where Laura Fuentes, 25 years of compounding experience, pharmacy, down in Miami, Florida, Miami area, had a patient that was coming in that was kind of trying to get off of heroin and antidepressant addiction. CBD oil coming from Colorado somewhere kind of saved his life to a degree, kind of helped him wean off of those things and helped him kind of restabilize. So he brought this bottle to her and said, "Hey, can we make this?" She says, "Yeah, I think so." And that was about 6 years ago. And then now they're going to be, I think it's going to be like a $1.2 billion business this time next year is what they're projected to be. So
Good for them.
and still privately held. So they're still going to keep that, making sure that everything's really consistent. Making sure everything is very transparent. You're going to be able to see. I would imagine these third-party lab test results are just going to get a little bit more specific,
Did she need help
even
back
than they are. So
there? Does she need help? Oh yeah.
kind of gives me confidence just knowing that anybody that's getting the results out of it right now is going to be able to get the same thing for years to come too, so that they can keep getting the same thing.
Okay.
Same
That's
results.
awesome.
So with the price difference, what besides the vegetable glycerin, what's like a good justification to explain the?
Would be
The extraction
THC
method.
too.
Yeah.
CO2
yeah.
is the most natural form of extraction. It does not leave any residual solvents, gases, no pesticides or anything, obviously. All of our products are tested for all of that also. And it's actually an extra step in the extraction process to take out all of the other cannabinoids and separate them. CBD is a little more fragile, we're finding. THC is a stronger compound, so it's actually a little more difficult to get it out of the actual plant.
So if someone comes in with like, alright, so we got scenario A, they've got severe pain, and we give them your recommendations, so 7 to 10 days, 17 to 25 milligrams, and they don't feel anything, but they're still game. Do you do the twice a day method that you talked about and see if they, for another 7 to 10, like what would
What would you do
a
next?
good baseline be?
Yeah, that would be. I mean, especially with something like pain, where it's something that's really
Tangible.
very. Yeah,
It's either
exactly.
working or not.
Exactly. Yeah, if it's something like that, I would definitely advise them to pay attention to what they're doing.
Right.
Increase their dosage. If they increase their dosage and they're still not feeling the results, then maybe greatly adjust it up and then take it twice a day, so that way they know that. And also, most of the time, if they take it for a week to 10 days and they're not feeling it, it could be
Need more time.
that they just don't have a cannabinoid deficiency. There's a very,
Right.
very, very, very small percentage of people that this happens to, but it does happen every once in a while where we just kind of are like, well, we don't really know. I mean, we would say take more, but we don't want to sound like we're just trying to sell them more oil.
Right.
So it's kind of a fine line where they're putting their trust in your hands and you're trying to do the best thing for them.
Sure.
We very, very rarely see that if they increase their dosage after something like that, that they don't start to see results immediately.
Yeah, we usually recommend starting off at a smaller dosage because it's obviously, like you said, if you take a lot of your CBD oil and it helps you, that's great. But also, you might have just wasted it when you could have got relief from 50 milligrams.
Right.
So that's another way to kind of build people up
Sure.
to
Yeah.
that instead of just saying everybody go take 50 milligrams
Right.
and then wean off of that. That's going to be kind of a trickier process.
Makes sense.
A lot of people say that the CBD oil tastes bad, but this tastes good.
I think it tastes really good.
Ours
So
tastes
we-
good.
I look forward to tasting it.
Yeah, we also think that. We just tell people that medicine is never supposed to taste good.
True.
But yeah, it's flavored with plant terpenes. It's 100% natural, so that also doesn't.
There's a
always
lot of
taste the best.
nutrients and things like that in this that may not be in other bottles too. I mean, this is something else that we're, as time goes on, we'll be able to pinpoint more and more what makes this oil so much more effective. But I just know it worked better for me than any of the other ones that we tried in the beginning. Josh and I and his buddy Phil were kind of trying some different products out to see which one worked best, and this one was what we went with, and
Good.
it's
Good
working
choice,
out.
guys.
It's working out. So.
And what part of the plant, like, I get confused with like hemp oil versus CBD oil, like
Yeah.
what parts of the plants are used.
Aerial parts, or there's all
Yeah.
sorts of different ways that they label them.
So CBD oil is actual CBD extract.
Okay.
It's a cannabinoid from the plant. Hemp oil is not a cannabinoid. It's from the actual hemp plant itself.
Is the hemp plant different than like
No.
a marijuana?
They kind of look different, yeah.
So-
Okay, are they two separate plants? Or
Yes, they are.
Okay, all right.
Like they're kind of tall and stalky. They look like almost like little bamboo shoots.
Okay.
The green bamboo shoots with a little bit of a flower kind of at the top. And then, but you know more about this. This is the farm
So, but
guy
that's
here.
what
What am I doing? He's
hemp
like,
oil is
"Nick,
made from? Is that what hemp oil is made from?
So hemp oil is extracted from a hemp plant.
Okay.
Hemp plants are considered now to be high CBD. THC high is what we consider marijuana today.
Okay.
So they are actually separate subspecies of cannabis.
Okay.
CBD is not intoxicating. THC of the 122 cannabinoids in cannabis is actually the only one that's intoxicating.
Okay.
We really don't see hemp oil like producing any effects.
Because some
it
people
has high
have like products
omega-3.
out there that says hemp, but it's hemp
And
oil.
that's one of the big things we're running into with an unregulated industry is people putting out hemp oil that either does not contain CBD or contains THC.
But yeah, nobody knows, and that's kind of our main battle right now is just making sure that everybody knows what to look for. And when you're shopping around for a product, somebody would maybe not even buy a banana at the supermarket if it didn't say it was 100% organic.
Right.
But they might just squirt whatever oil into their mouth just because they're thinking it's all the same. Because people just don't know that they can get that information about it.
But hemp oil is high in omega-3, but it does not necessarily have to contain high CBD or high THC. It depends on whether or not you also extract the CBD and the THC from the plant.
So that's actually a good thing. So like when somebody's saying to us like, what do I look for in a good CBD product? Like what?
You want lab test results.
And also besides that, what else would we say?
That's really the.
I mean, that's like because
the
you can say that
biggest
about
thing
it.
So
because
yeah, you win that battle. Just so you know,
That's the end of it,
anytime if
really.
you say let's pull out everybody pull out your hand of cards and play, we're winning the third party lab test result battle every single time.
Okay.
because it's unregulated.
Not everybody
Nobody
wants to
knows
take the
what they're
time to
taking.
go and look at that.
And then what about like components of the actual stuff? Like what would we say? You want one?
We
with
would say
both.
that it's very simplistic. As we said, vegetable glycerin is the best carrying method
Okay.
for CBD. It's all 100% natural.
Okay.
But our products, the oil,
Formulated by a pharmacist with 25 years of compounding experience.
our oil has broad spectrum CBD oil, 550 milligrams, hemp seed oil, kosher grade vegetable glycerin. Those
Okay.
are all the ingredients.
3 ingredients.
Yeah, and they're all natural ingredients.
Okay.
Any terpenes that are put in there are 100% natural. A lot of companies flavor theirs with artificial terpenes.
Okay.
They don't really have the same effect as natural terpenes.
Yeah, typically, if you know, a lot of these, there's one, I forget, it's like maybe Nature CBD or something like that. They do a lot of white labeling for some other pharmacies and stuff like that around here.
Oh, Nate. Yeah, he stopped by.
And
here.
they've got like raspberry
Okay.
and mint flavored. I'm like, that's kind of a sign, right? Like,
Wait,
I don't
why?
know.
Why can't Paul?
I don't know. This is like a box of Cheerio, or it's like a box of Fruit Loops or something. You're like, what are they doing,
okay.
right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't make a grape flavored wheat thing naturally. maybe.
And we have a bunch of gummies too that have a couple of other ingredients like dyes because people want their gummies to look
Yeah.
a certain way. The toads that we have are actually vegan. They contain non-GMO
Wait.
corn syrup.
There's gummy. They're
The
They're like
gummies.
little toads.
Yeah,
they
little-
look.
little
They
red
actually
toads.
look
You
like.
got frogs and
I
toads.
thought
Pretty
you said it
They
was
look like little
18?
frogs. Yeah.
Um,
You're well.
those are more natural gummies. They're vegan, non-GMO, and we also have the terpenes, which are vegan and non-GMO and flavored with natural terpenes.
Would it be a matter of the product or a matter of finances if y'all were to try to become like certified organic or something like, or what is it, US, whoever's certified?
U.S.
It's actually, we're kind of just waiting for the laws to tell people that they're allowed to say that they're certified by the federal,
Right,
by the
right,
FDA.
Yeah,
Because anybody could say that they are right now, and there's nobody to go and
right.
to check on that. So there's no establishment that's in place to check on that.
Yeah, CBD really is not being regulated by the FDA right now, as we mentioned before. Pedialex is the new CBD drug that's been approved by the FDA. It's awaiting scheduling. They're not sure really what they're going to do with it yet, and its costs
Estimated to be
$36,000 a year.
Fun.
$32,500 a year or something like that. So this will be a more economical option than that.
And the 1500 bottle, which is what we usually push people towards because it's a longer dosage, is about 2 months. It's what we all take every day. That person I take about 100 milligrams a day, and he said he takes about 200 on a bad day.
Not a bad day. I'm fine. I'm pretty easy going.
It's really just so they don't have to run out of their CBD. 550 bottles are a great starter, but it's only about a 3-week dose. And once they start to get relief, they're probably going to run out.
Okay. Cool. You guys feel any more questions? Did we talk about kids and stuff?
We
Kids
did it, but we
take it?
can.
Yeah, and I mean, people asked. Do you guys? People ask about your kids?
Totally
Yeah,
safe for
because I
kids.
have there's some kid clients that I have.
Yeah.
Would it be? I mean,
Totally
I
safe for
figured,
kids.
yeah.
We have lots of kids
Yeah.
that you have to be 18 to purchase it.
Mm.
But we have a
their
lot.
parent can
Yeah,
purchase it.
yeah,
as well.
and
That
parents'
is-
discretion.
And same thing. We try to steer them in the direction of the oil, but a lot of times the oil's not having that, or the kid's not having the oil. They don't want to, put anything under their tongue, and it's weird, and it's nasty, and it's gross, and it's whatever. So the gummies are a very, very good option for that. Like I said, it's not as effective way to get into the bloodstream, but it's definitely better than nothing. We have, this kid since April of last year has been taking one gummy bear a day, and he has autism, and he's doing great. Like, it's actually kind of the growth is building on itself because not only can he write better and read better and control his emotions better.
Yeah.
You start there, and then now he can actually, develop into
Probably be a-
doing geometry and other things down the road. So
Probably be a better alternative for ADHD with kids as well.
Yes.
Instead of doing Adderall for
Yep.
kids.
Yeah.
absolutely,
Um,
because they still have their appetite.
yeah.
Was one of the main
It
things is
increases.
to
Yeah.
And the pinene terpene is great for that, like hyperactive disorders, because it's calming.
Yeah.
And lavender as well.
If someone uses recreational, would you change the dosage? Like the dosage, would there be like a balancing there, or what would that be the effect of that?
they work great together.
Yeah.
If they use recreationally, they're probably not getting it to where they know exactly what the strain is and what the exact effects are going to be. So sometimes you can get a little bit kooky, doing something weird in the grocery store. This will actually counter effect. CBD actually counter affects the psychoactive
Okay.
effects of that, the paranoia,
Yeah.
the kind of the just
Yeah.
being unsure. So it actually kind of allows them to still get whatever they're getting from that to a lesser degree, and then obviously the entourage effect still works there. So they're actually going to probably see more effect from CBD than most people will.
Okay. That's what I
Yeah,
figured.
there's
I wasn't
some
sure
people
if they would
already
have to
active.
lower their dosage, or if it would be like
No,
counteractive.
yes,
or what.
really
Okay.
different effects from both of them.
Mhm.
THC obviously is again intoxicating too, so
Yeah.
that's its main job really.
Mhm.
Right, and if they are if they are recreational smokers, then their endocannabinoid system is going to be fired up already, and it's going to be familiar with these
Mhm.
compounds that are going there. So because they're pretty similar.
So what is we don't carry them, but what are the vaping things like? Like how would people use those?
The vape cartridges.
Yeah.
We sell batteries with them.
Or no, I'm sorry, not specifically, but
Yeah, what
how do
for,
you?
yeah.
No, let's say they're great for anxiety relief, instant.
So that, like, if somebody is not on CBD or anything like that and they smoke one of those, would that help them?
It depends on their chemistry, on
Okay.
whether or not their receptors are active, whether or not they've ever used cannabis in their life. A couple of factors. But the pain cream is definitely the most immediate effect because
And
of
are
that
gummies
0.5%
immediate, or
menthol.
is that another thing?
Not really, because you're also losing about a third of the dosage when you digest
Okay,
it.
so you have to build up with
Yeah.
gummy or
Yeah.
whatever, or an accessory
Yeah.
product. Okay.
When they're vaping, you're using that oil, aren't they?
Um,
Or do you
different,
have,
I
or do you
think.
buy separate?
you
a
can, you can
different one?
vape our lower milligram oils, I think that up to the 350 you can vape. You
Okay.
can also vape all the terpenes.
Oh.
We don't really see a lot of
Yeah, if you guys are getting a lot of questions about vaping, that might
We're
be one
not,
you
but
just-
like
that's
people
it.
have asked and I
You
don't really
right.
know.
That's another thing where it's a whole new can of worms
Yeah.
as far as it depends on what type of. This is something we're kind of learning from some of our vape shops. Is how is it? You know, how is it? Is it effective? Yes, is what we're seeing. What's the best way to use it? And so there's some specific questions that you're not going to want to tell because they're going to have to cut it down a little bit. They're going to probably
Yeah, they're
use
gonna mix
some
it.
of their normal vape juice, and then you can
You'd
just
have to
like
make
squeeze
it.
like a half a
Yeah.
milliliter in there with it. They want to burn it really low on like a lower temperature. So there's kind of a lot of little details that we can kind of help people with there too if they want to
Okay.
do that.
I'll just send
and
them
we're
the
trying to
link
be
for that.
obviously more health conscious.
Yeah.
Oil is just the most health conscious way to absorb CBD also.
Yeah. Okay. You guys all good? You guys ready to sell now?
And this is going to be something we can kind of keep building on this. So you can kind of take what you gathered today. You might have new questions, things like that. Keep those around, and then we can just do
Yeah.
this every couple of months or so. And
Perfect.
as we
I
learn
have
more,
one
we can teach you guys more. Yes.
I feel a little bit skeptical just in the regard of like, it seems like the kind of like gist is like it'll fix every ailment you have.
Yeah.
And then I think that people
That's a red flag,
skeptical.
yeah.
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 And like you're like people are like
think it's
sleep
gonna be my
things,
thing.
anxiety, like it's
It
covers
fixes
So it's
everything.
like what
It does not. It's not a panacea. It does not solve every ailment by any means. But actually, what it does is it's a great anti-inflammatory. A lot of the issues it deals with are inflammation-based, digestive
Okay.
issues, frequent urination, migraines, and also the interactions with the actual different parts of your brain through the autonomic nervous system and the central nervous system, or how it affects your brain.
okay.
Right, and then and that goes hand in hand with you can just point to the fact that there's receptors all over the body. I mean, this is a part of our brain that we haven't been taught about for several generations now in a row.
Yeah.
So, not like you're sitting there and you get a sniffle, mom's throwing vitamin C at you, right? Everybody's familiar with that. So it's one of those things where you kind of know that has that's good for this and this and this. Over time, people are going to get more and more accustomed to treating things with this. So.
Would you say maybe like the positives just have a compounding effect? So let's say CBD only technically helped you with your sleep. Now, getting a lot more sleep then helped for other ailments in your
Exactly.
life, but like the CBD was a good baseline to get you to there. So maybe I guess maybe some other people are saying it helps with this and this and this, where it maybe only actually established something big like your sleep or
Could be,
something like
yeah.
that. You know?
But we're also finding that a lot of people don't suffer from just one thing. A lot of
Right.
people don't sleep well, and they also have Crohn's, and that's sorry.
The tea kettle
Um,
liquid.
So a lot of people
Oh,
are finding out
science.
that while they have a couple of different things, the fact that it's an anti-inflammation and the fact that it helps you regulate your REM cycle, it does a couple of different things and interacts with your autonomic and central nervous systems.
And yeah, to which I say, 6 in one, half a dozen the other, right? So to me, I don't really care. Somebody might care if that's the case, but I say if you feel better, then what are you wondering about? That's what I would say.
Cool. All right, you guys all good?
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys very
Yeah.
much. That was a
No
lot of
problem.
help. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I know that's a lot too. So if if anybody, you guys all have our email and contact and everything. So if